All right, everybody. Welcome to the Stoke Your Creative Fire Summit. I'm Toni Bergins,
I'm Joy Coyer.
and we have the most amazing special guest today. But first thing I'm going to do before we introduce you to Jade Beall is we're going to fangirl her. Woo! Feel fan! Feel fan! We are fan! Jade Beall
Like it.
in
I
the house,
like
most
it.
famous photographer of women's bodies in the world today. Woo! Sorry, I'm just so beyond excited to have you here. Hey, Jade.
Hi, I want one of those things y'all fanning with. I want to get in
Easy,
on that.
easy gift, easy gift. I will send it to you. You're good. This is such a great honor to have you here. I mean, seriously, on the deepest of levels, this is a great honor for both of us. Joy, I know you want to share how you know Jade Beall even before you met her right now.
Oh my goodness, back in the day, I think it was 2015. I heard about this photographer that was really finding a way for women and all people to claim their beauty and their bodies and their worth. And the Embrace movie back in 2016 came out, and people would rent out those theaters, and there you were talking about everything. And I was right into the body positive movement at that time as a woman of size and getting other people to move their bodies. So here we are now in this
Oh,
summit talking
I can't
about
even
it.
believe
I'm
it.
really excited about hearing about the whole evolution of where you are now, but let's
That
talk a
was the
little bit about.
beginning of the internet body positive movement. I mean, body
Yes,
positive movement has been going on for a while,
Oh, yeah.
obviously,
exactly,
started by
yes,
women of color a long time ago. But on the internet, that was the beginning. And
yes.
Taryn and I were like right there at the same time. And yeah, it was really fun to be a part of her movie Embrace. Yeah.
Oh my God. One more piece on that same topic. When I met you I was at this conference and I was on a Zoom call with all the presenters and I saw this woman's name, Jade Beall, and I saw you were wearing a hat. Like I didn't recognize you in a particular way. And I was like, I know that name, Jade Beall, Jade Beall. And then I went and looked at, I was like, oh my God, Jade Beall, the famous Jade Beall. I was so excited. Anyway, we want to introduce you and read your bio to everyone who's listening right now. Thank you, everybody who's listening to the summit. We're so excited to interview Jade Beall in just a second. I want to tell you about her. So she is a proud mama and lives in Tucson, Arizona, and is a world-renowned photographer specializing in truthful images of
Woo,
women. I love that so
love
much.
that.
Every time I go on your Instagram page or anywhere in your books, I feel loved. To inspire the feeling irreplaceably beautiful and good about one's body as a counterbalance to the airbrush photoshopped images of a single body shape
Woo.
and that dominates mainstream media, which we're really, I mean, you've done so much to shift that. I mean, I don't even know if that's true anymore. Let's keep going with this bio. Up to you now.
And the work, the book Bodies of Mothers is really what started it all, right? Is that right? Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And we'll hear more about the details of that. You write for the Huffington Post, you BBC, the Today Show, and I love this. Jade believes that our bodies are not the problem, and that the problem is diet culture and the beauty industry and generations of bullied humans telling us that how
Oh,
our bodies look is the most valuable part of being a woman. Jade's dream is to inspire future generations of women to reclaim their bodies as powerful, sacred temples that are not objects for others to look at. She hopes to remind others that our bodies are the incredible movers of one's soul in this one wild and precious life. Yes.
it just goes
Had
on
to
and on.
read the whole thing.
I know Jade, I have to read the next part. Jade hopes to inspire more photographers and creatives to embrace a more truthful style of photography so we can collectively send the message to girls and women and even boys, because my sons,
Mm-hmm.
with all these issues, that they don't have to change their bodies or be anything other than this beautiful masterpiece that they already are. And that's just me paraphrasing this amazing bio. And last thing, Joy really wanted to read this quote of yours, if you don't mind, Jade, because
Mm-hmm.
we're adoring on you right now.
Really fangirling again. I am here to be a facilitator for living heaven on earth. I am here to support your waking dream. I am here to stand in my authentic beauty and reflect your divine gorgeousness. I am here
Mm-hmm.
to be a radiant reflection of life. I am life. You are life. All of this is that we are here, and that we have is divine. All of this is magic. All of this just is. Jade Beall. Oh my God, I love
Mm.
that. All of
Yeah.
this just is.
How does that
Yeah.
feel hearing that about yourself?
Oh, it's funny. It's almost like it's not so much about me. It's just like, damn, look at all the shit we've done.
You've done, yes, and all the people you photographed.
All
Yep.
that stuff I've done is a co-creation.
Yes.
Photography, photographing humans cannot happen unless I can photograph a human. So
I
I
could,
need folks
right.
to actually
Oh,
step up.
takes so much
Right.
courage to be in front of the camera. But when I remember standing in front of you, even for 30 seconds and being like, oh my God, this woman sees me internally. I was like, ah, and I didn't even get naked yet, but we're going to do that someday.
Oh, yes. And that's another thing is the naked part is such a big, so I've always been drawn to bodies. I just have. It's an innate, it's truly one of the reasons I came to Earth
Mm,
is to fall in love with the human form.
Mm.
That is my ancient language. Unfortunately, I've learned the language of traumatized humans
of course.
as
Of
well,
course.
and
Mm.
diet culture and all the
Mm,
things that try to inform me of what I should and how I should look
Mm.
at things, including changing the body with Photoshop, airbrushing back in the
oof.
90s. And I just freaking love bodies. And to
Mm,
me, it's not even nude. It's like, oh my goodness, there it is. Because clothes are amazing, but there's someone else's creation, like there's someone
mm.
else's art, which is
Yes.
gorgeous. But I'm super interested in the masterpiece,
Mm,
unobstructed. And yeah. And that's
Mm.
it's I don't even see it as naked. I just see it as like, oh my gosh, there you are.
yes.
There you are.
I know it's like it's so natural. And I remember when I first saw your photography when the amazing Joanna Karichner, a journey dance teacher from Arizona, was like, "Oh my God, Toni, you have to see these pictures." And I started following you, discovering you back. That was even before there was Instagram. So way before there was Instagram, I knew who you were. And I want to ask you really, and I know Joy and I have a lot of curious questions, but like obviously you came to this from a place of your own healing. Like I come to my art from a place of my own healing. I mean, my mother
100%.
alone, my mother alone put me on when I was in sixth grade. I think I was on the Scarsdale diet, the LA diet, I've been on every diet known to man. She had books and books and books, all the diet books,
Yeah.
Pritikin, and I could name them back then. I can't remember that anymore. Now it's my character uses them to be funny, but it's not funny. It's really sad. And I know that we're put on I was in sixth grade eating Melba toast and having tuna fish, and because I wanted to not be fat in fifth grade. And I was, a little bit, I had a big body at that time. And it was all morphing and changing. And I remember being so terrified of what people thought. My mother would be like, "You're going to eat Melba toast and tuna fish." And I was like, oh, you can
Mhm.
imagine, I know your story is similar in a sense about the body. So will you share with us a little bit of that?
Yeah, the body, and then the past, the inherited trauma around food, and
Mm.
that's the thing is like
Yeah.
most of us, at least and I've worked with thousands and thousands of women at this point in my life.
Of course.
Our stories begin when we're so little, and our
So little.
bodies are still going through so much transformation. Our bodies will continue to go through transformation until our last exhale. They change with the seasons. She is fluid. She is doing all kinds of things.
Mm.
She's getting sick. She's getting healthy. She's doing all the things. But as a
Yes.
child, like we do all this stuff, and oh my gosh, it's intense. My journey started, I say 8, but I'm pretty sure it was even younger, that I
I'm
was
sure.
so self-aware of my roles, and I was so worried about getting acne because I heard all the adults around me talking about my older sister had, I was just so self-aware that I better keep good check on this body so that I stay pretty, so that I stay accepted and loved.
Mm.
And my nervous system interpreted that as you're only safe if you're pretty and thin and
Mm.
agreeable.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then it took me.
Yeah.
So then I felt unsafe for most of my life.
Being
Yeah.
so unagreeable and
Chasing
so
safety.
powerful.
Chasing safety as my body does her own thing. I come from famine survivors. We are big women. Even if we ate nothing for 2 months, we are big women. That is my heritage. It's not all heritage. That's mine personally. And so, yeah, chasing safety, aka
Mm.
a smaller body and prettiness,
Mm.
it almost took me away, but I
Mm.
reclaimed it,
Mm.
and I'm still here. And photography was one of the ways
Well,
that
thank you
did it.
so much for being here.
Mm.
It's so easy to get lost. It's so easy to to not know why our nervous systems are so dysregulated and why we're so fucking scared. You know,
Absolutely.
and everyone I work with was like, well, if I just am thinner, I'll finally be happy.
I know. Oh my God. A friend of
Right.
mine told me a story about her mother. And it really affected me. She said that her mother had passed away. And no, she was actually in a nursing home, like in hospice. That's what was happening. And she showed a movie of her mother. They made a movie for her to see. And she's like, oh my God, I was so chubby right there. Like even at her deathbed, she was still concerned about the belly and sticking out funny. And it's just such a, like, to me, that was the most tragic thing I ever heard. I cried when this woman shared it. She's an amazing teacher as well, the woman who shared this. Her name is Sarah Sullivan. I cried when I heard that. And I remember being like, wow, this is not who I want to be or who I want to train anyone to be. So JourneyDance, of course, is my expression that has you don't even look at yourself in the mirror. There's just movement.
I appreciate that about dance
Yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mirrors were,
Well, because as a dancer,
nothing wrong with it. Nothing
yeah,
wrong
but
with it.
growing up, I
And
was, yeah, exactly. No ballet for me. I was way too big chested, no, it had to be moved to the modern dance because they're more whatever. It was, the whole thing. I kept getting moved around. Then they put maybe you should try gymnastics. They kept pushing me out of the accepted, you're going to be a dancer because dancers didn't look like me. And of course, now we've changed so much and there are dancers that look like all of us, but it was even, back then it was
yeah, honey.
unacceptable,
Oh, I do know. I had a
Mhm.
modern dance teacher. I was able as a little girl, I loved dancing. And I grew up in Mexico and I grew up doing folklorico. And then I came to high
Yes, I remember
school in
that.
the US and I did modern. I didn't even know what modern was. I thought we were going to be doing stuff like MTV. I thought that was modern, but it was this other thing that I loved. And my teacher was amazing, but she did tell me, she's like, you're never going to be a professional dancer because you don't have the body. And she is still my friend today, like she was only passing down to me her own
Right.
trauma.
Oh,
But that was
hurts.
what led me to go take a West African dance class. I was 17. I went to a West African dance class and everyone was like, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Do you want to dance? And I was like, yes, I want to
So
dance.
awesome.
And I want to be okay to dance in this body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Powerful.
Love it.
But I mean, so many folks, this. So many folks are so afraid to move their body because that's as Americans, as white American women specifically, it's like, well, I'm not a dancer, in Africa, it's like, who's not a dancer?
Totally.
Who's the dancer?
Oh my God.
I totally relate to that. I think that as a woman of size, I did not realize what a political statement it was to be so public in my freedom. And just by showing up, and I've worked through so much of that stuff that I go out there and I forget that the rest of us haven't. It is still here. And as we work through our work more and more about, the layers of this, where it comes from and how to not perpetuate it. And I love what you said in one of these interviews about, and it's something I strongly believe in. I know that Toni and I talk about this often with JourneyDance and all the things that we do, is about not just believing it, but how do we take it home and how do we represent this in our life? And you talk about make sure that when you're doing the work, you're doing it around your daughters, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, the people, so that it's not just so internal. That's what I got from what you said, so that we're really doing that. And I'm curious about what you now know since 2000, and when was the book released? 2013,
I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Lost
what have
track.
you
I'm pretty sure it was
learned
13.
with all of that?
And you've had multiple books since then
About
too.
about the
Oh my
body and the
goodness.
relationship of how we change the culture by just taking it home.
Yeah. First it was awareness. I wasn't even aware. I just thought it was normal to hate yourself and be on yo-yo diets forever until the end. I just thought it was normal to never like myself and to always be like, oh, I don't know. How do I, to always criticize and use language of,
Oh, isn't this just so sad? It is so normal, and that's the scary part.
That's how women do, right? Isn't that just
but
what we
it's
do? We
a
just
huge,
suffer and
it's
hate
a
Out
huge
of
ourselves.
problem.
love. We love you. We love you.
It's a huge problem. We have to stop this together. Yes, and well, you're doing it. You're doing it in a beautiful way. Keep going, please.
But it started, so I've always loved photography since 1997. And
Mm.
so there I am in 2012, pregnant, and finally starting to get in there because I was photographing a lot of bodies at that point, and I had a blog. It was back in the blogging days.
Yes.
And actually, Joanna, your student,
Yes, I
Toni, was
remember.
someone who told me, I really love your blog, but I don't see a whole lot of bodies that look like mine. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. And it wasn't because I was even aware of what I was posting. I was only posting photos that folks would allow me to. I was photographing all bodies, but not all bodies would allow
That's
me
big.
to post onto my blog.
Got it.
Yes.
And
yes.
so she
Because it
planted
takes
the
a lot of
seed.
courage to be
It
seen.
does.
And I know Joanna has done major, unbelievable work around that. Oh my gosh, she's
Exactly.
incredible.
Exactly. But it was her little voice that was like, opened it up to me. It was like, oh shit, you're right. I wasn't even aware, but not because I was excluding, just because I was going along with the fact that these bodies don't allow me to post and these bodies do, you know.
Yes.
And my website looked, although I didn't use Photoshop and stuff back then either, it looked normal. Like, oh, how much of
Well, you're an amazing photographer.
thin white babes, you know, which are, I love thin white babes. Thin white babes are my sisters, but it was just more of the same.
Yeah.
So I got pregnant and my disordered eating ramped up. Obviously, doctors are monitoring me like, oh, you're gaining too much weight, weighing myself every day.
Oh, honey.
Petrified, getting to that mark that they told me was my top mark of weight gain, and then passing that, way passing that, and not knowing what do I do with this? I have failed already. I have failed already. And I was single at the time, and it was just a big old hot mess. So then I gave birth, this beautiful boy, had an amazing birth, and, you know, pushed this human out of my freaking vagina. You know, I stand up afterwards and I had this diaper on, and I looked in the mirror and I just said, I love you. It was the first time I can remember since I was little that I looked. I said, I love you.
Oh.
Vagina girlfriend.
We both have two kids, so we understand. I'm gonna cry right now.
That moment, but that was the first taste of like, oh, I love you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love you. And I had all this stuff. My vagina was ripped open. I'd have stitches, like all this stuff. And I was like, God damn it, you're amazing. And then of course, then the mean girl that I call Stacy, my mean girl, but I also love Stace. Stace is, you know, she's my girl. She's
your internalized mean girl. Oh gosh.
Mean girl that wants to keep me safe.
I got some real serious bitches in there. Yeah.
She doesn't run the show anymore, but you know, I'm at peace with the fact that she's a part of me.
Right.
So yeah, so that was the beginning. So here I am with this body. At this point, it's totally unlike I've ever had in my whole life. And I've always been afraid. I've always been so afraid to be bigger because that means I'm not going to be loved. And I picked partners that reinforce those beliefs. So Joanna's voice came in my head. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have a body that I don't have on my website. I drove my ass and my newborn baby down to my studio and I took a whole bunch of photos.
Yes.
A whole bunch of photos. And that was the beginning. There I was. I didn't add any filters, which before that I did because I have dark circles. I got, you know, skin stuff, no filters. Here I am, messy in this body, learning how to see her through the lens of kindness, done with this narrative of hate.
This is what we do too.
That
yes,
shit.
100%. Oh my God.
And that was just the beginning. And then took a lot of practice, a lot of learning, a lot of unlearning, and millions of photos of women willing to come tell their stories with me. And every single one of them reflected back something to me and healed something inside of me.
You're talking about community, that reflection. And what you just said is so powerful, is that they healed something in you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a story?
Well, people compliment me on my photography. I'm like, well, it's a collaboration because I'm not doing anything. I'm one vessel, there another, and we're this mini forest creating gorgeousness.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure people come to you with, a lot of, self-esteem issues, just like all the talk, the Stacys, whatever you're calling them, and then they're coming to you and they're getting so vulnerable with you. And I'm curious, like, what's your favorite part about that?
It used to scare me at first, when I was beginning. It felt like I wasn't prepared or even knew how to hold space for that.
That makes sense. That is intense. I mean, what you're doing is intense.
Training.
I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sure these women, people are crying, people are scared. Like there's a whole layering that you have to but you figured it out. You get into the soul.
Well, I can see, but I had to learn how to speak it to help my clients, because I've always been able to see the body free from all of my conditioning, my socialized stigmas and all the shit that I place on myself.
Yes.
I don't place that on people I photograph. I can, even before I started this body love journey, I'll do all the stuff to me, but I would never do that to someone else. I see them as the masterpiece because their survival isn't my problem. I see my bigger body as danger, and I won't be accepted by other people in my tribe because I perceive that as the danger is my body and my prettiness. But other folks, their danger isn't my problem. So I get to just witness their fucking beauty.
That is huge what you just said. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just want to please pause for a second. That is huge. Oh my God. Because that's the conditioned fear that is, all of us have our own version of that, right? What's going to make me unsafe? Like for me, it's being vulnerable. Like if I'm too vulnerable with someone, I'm going to be harmed. Right. So I always have this edge of like power. I always keep my edge up. But with other people, oh my God, I can hold a space. They can cry in my arms. I can rub their back. I can hold them and rock them. And if someone's freaking out, Joy knows me well. I can hold people who are having like the ultimate cataclysmic eruption, and I'm just there for them. And I'm just, yes, I've got you, and I love you, and I see you. And like for me to do that is like terror, because it's but that's what it is. You just said it. It's my safety. Yeah. And with them, I can hold the space because I can be their safety.
Yeah.
This is deep. That's what you're doing. You're being their safety. You're being their eyes through which they can see themselves anew.
And it's very authentic. This is where I struggled for a long time, because I was like, am I a fucking imposter? Here I am, like I'm in the zone with my photo shoots. It's like a sacred ceremony. I come out sweaty and like just like just like your your journey.
That makes sense.
Oh, shit just moved. And I feel very sometimes exhausted, sometimes just like I can feel the energy. I got to go for like a walk in the desert. But then I would go and see a snapshot that someone took of me, and I'd be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, oh my God, I am the biggest fucking hypocrite there is. Here I am doing this work. And then I see a snapshot of myself and I can't stand it. And it took me a long time to figure out that. And it's that, when I've learned what it means for me to look at a snapshot of myself. It's very different. It's nothing to do with anything. It's just, yeah.
It's kind of amazing because we're talking about images, and I'm finding this fascinating because before Zoom, I never danced with mirrors at all. Like I haven't danced with mirrors in 27 years. And then 27 years. Yeah, 27 years. I've been teaching dance for 30 years. I'm 53 and I started when I was 23. So I have not danced with mirrors, basically. Occasionally I go to a dance class here or there and see myself and always like try to imitate the teacher. I used to look at the teacher the whole time, not myself. But on Zoom, it's like I have to see myself because I have to see, am I in the box, right? Am I dancing around? Am I in the box? It has been such like, I would say it's not been enjoyable, but it's also been fun. It's been fun to see how I dance and to see myself as a dancer, but it's such a different, it's almost like if we didn't have cameras and we didn't have all these things, the reflection would be just how we felt from the inside. This is like such a big topic.
There it is. How I felt from the inside. That's the truth.
Yeah. I know it's crazy. It's like if we just ignored the flesh and we just looked through the eyes, we'd always see beauty in everyone. We would literally see beauty in everyone because we wouldn't have the reflection to which to compare and all the things. I remember when I was like in my early 20s, I was in a totally like bulimic crisis. I was working out like probably every single day for at least 3 hours. I was doing like Jack LaLanne. That was popular back then. You guys are younger than me. There was Jack LaLanne. Then I went to this fancy studio called Jeff Martin. Then I ran around the Central Park. I rollerbladed. I did yoga. I did yoga with all the badass yoga teachers who are now the super famous elders of yoga. Oh my God. And then I remember I met Cindy Crawford, was at some event that I was setting up at, and she was going to be a speaker at the event. And I was like, oh my God, she's so skinny. Like I thought she was going to be like this luscious, big hair, gorgeous being. She was like so skinny and teeny. She was so teeny. Yes, I've seen her face in my life. And then I realized it's all photography. Like her face is like on the front of the magazine cover looking so amazing. And her body, they push her boobs up and they do all kinds of things. She was really skinny. I'm just saying. She was like a beanpole. And I remember being like, wow, that's fake. I had no idea. That is all fake. It was a good lesson for me. I started unlearning. And then, of course, I healed from doing the dance. I didn't heal from, looking at pictures of Cindy Crawford. I healed from doing the dance with no mirrors and no images. So I find what you do really, it's incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed. It blows my mind when I go to your webpage and I see the pictures. I'm like, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to feel what it's like to be exposed in such a way that feels beautiful. And we all need that healing. So thank you. Thank you for being so courageous. And now you're taking pictures of all kinds of people to like expand the whole horizon even further. Oh my God, your recent stuff is so amazing.
Thank you, honey. Yeah. All the stories. I want all the stories, and it's my business. So I go with my clients, my goal is to be able to photograph the stories. I also desire to do more, but at this point in my life, it's pretty much clients, and my clients are fucking badass. And most of them let me share, I'm so grateful for my clients. But yeah, the mirror thing, it's the reflection is such a sacred thing. So for me, I don't like snapshots of me. I've had to train my partner, my husband, and I still get to train him. I still get to implement my boundaries, because he'll take a snapshot. He's like, look, and like, don't show it to me. Don't. I know myself so well. I know this precious self so well. I want to be in this moment at the river. I don't want you to show me what I look like in my bikini right now, because I don't fucking give a fuck. Right. I want to feel the sun. I want to feel the water. I want to feel my body. I don't want to be seeing this. And Stacy's going to be like, oh, look, girlfriend. Stacy comes up and she's like, yep, you better hit that gym. And then Stacy ruins my fucking moment in the river,
Oh my God. So we know. We talk about this all the time.
It's not his fault. It's nobody's fault. No. But it's my opportunity to set boundaries and be like, you can take all the photos you want, but don't show them to me. If I want to see them, I'll ask later.
Yes. I love that. And we can talk a little about Stacy. One of the things we do in JourneyDance, I mean, all the years I work with people, I find all their inner critical voices, right? So I did a lot of theater, psychodrama. I created this thing that I call shadow play, where we draw a line in the sand, and when you walk across it, you can be your shadow, but in a comical way. You have to do like sicky sassy Stacy, or they have to come up with the right like Lacey, Stacey, or whatever. You give her a little name, be like, Stacey. And she has to have a nasty voice and be like, hey, Jade, you need to hit the gym. Like, she couldn't just be her normal voice. You have to like separate her further. So then she becomes less effective, and she's almost like a comedy character. So like I have my character, Barbara. She's like, oh my God, Toni's been on every diet. She's been on we were on the Scottsdale together. We did the LA. I mean, remember the Pritikin? We did all. We eat the zone. We did the juicing, we did the cleansing, we did the fasting. Right. It's like a joke, but it's really part of my personal healing. It's not, so we use it in a theatrical way, but it really helps to take the like steam out of it,
Yeah. Well, the women I work with, they feel that it's like a double arrow. They have this body image stuff, but then they feel guilty that they have the body image stuff.
Oof.
And it's the shame. Like, I know I should just love myself. And then like if they're feeling pretty good and they're on like a good they're like, okay, and like week 2, like I'm feeling pretty good. And then all of a sudden something happens, maybe, there might be something heartbreak or something. It can be a little thing. And then Stacy comes up, and then so these women are like, oh, I guess I failed the self-love journey. I guess I'm just an imposter, and I actually don't get this self-love journey. And what I like to explain is like, no. Stacy is there, and it's okay. It is okay. We can listen to her, but I always tell her, I see you, I hear you. Sit the fuck down.
Yep.
I got this. Pause. But I know she's a part of me, so I don't feel sad or shamed or anything about it. I'm at peace that she is a part of this wild thing of being human. And she has good intentions. She really wants to just keep me safe. That's her language is safety. But she's interpreted into all this really horrible, hurtful stuff.
Yes, 100%. I mean,
there's no shame in the vacillations of like, oh, I'm feeling myself. And the next day I'm like, oh, I don't feel myself. Like everything is welcomed. But we have to be kind first.
What a journey.
Joy,
do you want to share?
Yeah, I love you talking about the kindness and the fluidity of the journey. And I did a lot of work myself, loving the larger body. And then there was like the next wave. And what you're talking about is that moment when you're like, fuck a duck. What? Not again. That means I must have not done the work. I'm a freaking fraud. How can I be out here? And that took me a minute to then go inside and take it out again. Next layer. Who did I do that for? What was that about? I love how you talked about you had the baby, and in the the word that's coming to me, and I mean this in the most loving way, is the wreckage that happens in the body as we know it after you have a baby. Everything changes, and you were able to say, I love you. That is so powerful, and how we can the integration of all of that, the voice, whatever that love journey is. I think that's really a creative way that you have found with photography and the visual, and then going deeper as a tool to the stuff.
Well, we love visuals. We love visual. Photography is fucking magic, man. I mean, it's magic in so many different ways and forms. But the way that I feel so blessed to use it is to share a story and then share it with thousands of people on this wild thing called the internet, and, and then I've gotten emails from people hiding in a closet, breastfeeding her toddler, and her family telling her that she's perverted because she feeds her 2-year-old. And she says, I'm looking at your photos, breastfeeding your toddler, and I know that I'm not perverted like my family tells me. And that's where I'm like, that's why the internet is so amazing, because we get to share that together.
Oh my God, I'm sure you've helped so many people. It's so epic.
I need to tell my children to be quiet. Hold on just a second.
Yeah.
I love this. The internet.
We can make a note of what time it is. Yeah. It's 8:08, just so we know.
Okay. Thank you.
You're amazing. So back to that thing, ready? You have helped so many people because they can see. It's like you're uncovering something that needs to be uncovered. And the other thing that you're both talking about is the naturalness, I keep talking about, I've been really into nature in the past few days. I went on this walk and I found all these weird mushrooms. I took pictures of every single mushroom. I got into mushroom photography for an hour, and it was so healing for me.
Man.
I know. And the human body is just the same. It's like we're all different. We're all unique, kind of funky shapes and cool, crevices and cracks and all the things, like, and we have so much judgment of it. Like, this is a nice mushroom. This is an ugly mushroom, right? I mean, who's to say? And it's all about, I don't want to get into the machine right now because I could easily go down that road. But what I want to stay with is that what you're doing and what you're both talking about is healing from a natural standpoint, shifting the lens. Like, this is natural. This is what people actually look like. This is real.
And the very definition of life is diversity.
Mm.
We
That's it.
accept diversity in everything. We know that that's healthy. We love all of our different looking dogs. You know, we love all the diversity. We love walking into a forest and seeing all the different kinds of trees. It would be scary as heck to walk into a forest and every tree be the same age and shape. It would be a farm forest. And we'd be
it
like,
would be a
where
Christmas
is
tree
the
shop.
real forest? Where is the real forest? Because this is scary. We know diversity is just a freaking part of life, but we've been trained how to see through trauma and used that. And our nervous system interprets danger by our bodies are the problem because, you know, we don't have lions and tigers and bears roaming down the streets anymore. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Diversity is essential. That's why my favorite thing is photographing groups of women, or, you know, it could be all people, but I just am gravitated with the woman, the female body, or anyone identifies as feminine. Like, that's where I'm just so, I know that body. I love men's bodies as well and all genders bodies, but that's just my personal desire. And when you get a group together,
I saw some of your
Always
recent
the best.
stuff. Oh my God,
Always
I
the
love
best.
those. I saw some of the recent group stuff that you did. Oh my God, so gorgeous.
Even just a booty, like my favorite is super simple. Just a group of women, just like gentle hands on a heart, all the gorgeous booties lined up, you know, with this gorgeous sky. And like, that's all I need. That's all I need in life.
I love it.
Diverse, gorgeous booties, unphotoshopped in nature.
We need more of this. We need more, hearing more of this.
So can we ask you a question about creativity with a client, for example? So let's say, you know, what we're this podcast, this summit is about how do people stoke their own creative fire for healing, because I really think that we all heal through our passions. I mean, I don't think, you know, going to work every day doing whatever the job is going to be healing. It's going to be following your creative desires. And like, I write songs to express my heart. I dance to express my soul, and you use photography. So when someone comes to you, I'm sure you do other things as well, but when someone comes to you, like, how do you use your creativity to say, okay, let's get you into a state where we can see you fully? I mean, how do you use, I'm so curious. Is that a crazy question?
No, it's a good question.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think the main thing I've learned to do is step out of the way. You know, like my socialized feminine stigma, Stacy and all her voices, I kind of set her aside and just become a channel. And I was a massage therapist for a long time, so I really love to just bring that super safe vibration. And I do believe too, one of the reasons I love this photography specifically with women is because I remember being a little girl and loving other little girls and holding their hands and snuggling. And then at some point I was taught that they were my competition.
Ooh.
And that fucking broke my heart, you know? And so in those moments, whether it's on the backdrop or on the desert or in a forest, all those things go away because my intention, and every client brings that intention as well, is that this is a ceremony. And all the competition bullshit that we learn doesn't exist anymore. And I get to sit here and witness you in a very sensual, sacred, safe way. And that's healing for both of us. Because, you know, I haven't met any women who don't want to be seen sensually and be like, oh my God, I see you. Yes. Oh my God. You know, and to feel my sensual energy connect with theirs, and it's safe. There's no expectations. There's nothing needs to happen. It's just something we get to remember. It's like our ancient wisdom even gets like, oh, there it is. There it is.
I love that.
There's my sisters.
Right. Like capturing the essence.
No competition, no scarcity. Like, you are beautiful because I am beautiful, because we are all making this together. I have to say, when I'm doing photo shoots, I get a little wild sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes I just like hold it back. It's like, oh my gosh. It's just like, And I'll scream, usually on the desert. I'm just like, nowhere else on earth is this gorgeousness happening. Nowhere. Nowhere. Only right here. This is it.
Oh my
That
God.
excitement.
It's the truth.
Yeah, and just
I've
you're
seen you take
empowering.
photos. Oh my God. It's so
Oh,
fun to
wow.
watch you. You know, at the where I met you at the event, I took a picture of you and I sent it to you, taking pictures. It was the most cool picture ever because you're like engaged. You're not just like behind the camera, like, you know, just taking you were like, I felt like your whole energy was whoa. And you know, you took such a beautiful pictures. I went and looked at them afterwards, and it's just like you do have that magical way of just catching the expression that I've never seen before. And like it was like not normal. Like I was like, oh my God, look at these pictures by Jade Beall. I must frame all of these pictures that she took.
And that's like way out of my comfort zone. I don't photograph events normally.
I know,
but
but
like
you still brought it.
events are so fun. Like that was so much fun because everyone there was so high vibe and like it was just it was gorgeous. But you know, that's another thing. Like I used to get really hung up because I'm self-taught photographer. I get so hung up. I'm like, well, I didn't go to school. I'm just self-taught. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm not that great. And instead of that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't claim to be the best photographer. I claim to be the best me as possible. Photography is one of my tools and I freaking love it and it's magical to me. But, you know, lighting and you could call me amateur. That's fine. Like so when I first started going viral, oh my God, all these photographers just wanted to come and take me down. Like, you don't even know.
God. Oh no.
You call yourself a professional photographer. And I was like, no, I just call myself Jade. I call myself Jade, who loves to make images of these gorgeous bodies. And of course, I always want to master my craft more and more and more, but I'm at peace. I don't need to be anything except the very best. And I continue to do what feels good to me.
Such a great message of this for people because, you know, some people are self-taught, you know, artists or self-taught, you know, musicians or so, and they won't, and your passion for healing is, you know, came from this self-taught thing, right? So what if there's so many people out there watching today? I hope you're all getting this message that, you know, you can heal through your creative passion of your soul. You don't have to be trained to do it. You could actually just do it because it's part of you. Like you just did it. You just did it because you had to. You did it because that little voice said, hey, you don't have women of my size on your blog. And all of a sudden you're like, boom, here we go.
Here we go.
And you changed the world.
If I got really caught up on how terrible my lighting was and stuff back, you know, and even today, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do it, you know. I allow myself to feel I make tons of mistakes, you know, like I am it's okay. And another thing people are saying, like, I really love photography, but there's so many photographers. I'm like, yeah. Do you know how many billions of people are on this planet? That's
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. There's, I mean, even in my town alone, there's photographers I admire so much. And people want me to do weddings and I tell them I love doing love ceremonies, but I wouldn't recommend me because I'm not the best photographer at weddings, you know? And I'm okay knowing my lane and also admiring other people's work and just like, yeah. And there's enough.
This is so important. You don't know how much you're probably this message right here is this little spot is just as important as everything else you're saying, because everybody has these passions and these gifts that they are so afraid of sharing because it's not professional or pretty or good enough or all the things that we're talking about, whether it's, you know, whatever, their poetry, right? You know, like we do this work where people share these writings and they're so amazing, but no, they're not quote poets because they haven't been published or whatever. But guess what? This stuff is so good and they wouldn't share it if they didn't push through their fear. So thank you for pushing through your fear and posting and then becoming this icon of beauty for women of size. And now you're doing so many more projects. Will you talk a little bit about the other projects you're doing right now?
Well, I just completed the Crone body. So it's a collection of images of women over 60. And That's the most recent
Yeah.
book that I just made, and it has a poem from Maya Luna called "The Crone." And it starts
Yes.
out with something like, "If you want to be a sexually empowered woman, embrace your inner hag." It's just
Right.
like this super dark, like, it's so good. And so her poem, it's a very long poem, and it's woven throughout the book with
Oh,
all
so
these
great.
different gorgeous women, both nude and not nude, like very different. Wherever people were comfortable is where I met them. That's always the case. But it's, I'm very, very, it
This
is
is
all
so
self-published.
important. Thank you for that, because so many women, my age and older, like I think when I turned 50, I had like a freak out. They say you're going to have, midlife crisis, whatever, you're both younger than me, but something does happen because I feel like, okay, now the ball's rolling that way. Like first I was pushing it uphill. Now it's rolling this way. Now what am I going to do? And I don't want to get lost in that. I want to stay, vibrant and alive, and know that at 60, I'm going to be in one of your books.
Exactly.
It's like, and there's so much beauty at all ages, but the focus of our society is all in this one, like, I think it's like 27 to 35. I'm not sure what the age is that I'm always looking at, but all the pictures, every image that you see is always this particular, thing. And you already know immediately, like, oh yeah, that's advertising. Like you always know it's advertising, right? But with social media, we've been able to break some of those molds, and you're doing that with your photography. So thank you for breaking those molds. And for women of color, I've seen you have some amazing new photos I've seen on your site as well.
It's rad to scroll and to see the advertisements for underwear are so different than they were 10 years ago when I started this,
Right? Yes.
And then there's like elders, there's all different size bodies. And,
I love those images.
And it's just like, okay, I wish I could take a screenshot of the differences. I don't have that because it was not that. And then I actually want to buy that underwear. I'm like, okay, you're speaking to me. Okay, I don't need underwear, but you know what?
I love that. I taught high school English for a couple of years, or 6 years, when I was between like figuring out what my career was going to be. And one of the things I taught, I did a whole thing on. We had a movie, and I think it was it was Naomi. I'm sorry, my brain is farting right now. It was The Beauty. What was it called, you guys? The Beauty Myth. The Beauty Myth by Naomi. What's her last name? Come on, we know it. We'll look it up. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. Anyway, there was a whole movie, and I showed it to the girls, and it was all about, how images, it was teaching it was in the 90s, by the way. This is still 90s. So this is before there were these amazing ads and campaigns and women of size and women of color, going out into the world and getting themselves seen in a safe way so that they could change the mindset and the mode. And we're still working on it. I mean, there's so much work that still needs to be done, but we have you, as well as many other amazing people, doing this work. So thank you.
Thank you. We're doing it together, reclaiming dancing. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Movement. Going through your life thinking you can't dance because someone told you your body wasn't right.
Right. I know. Isn't that just the worst? And then also that just like you can't dance because you can't follow the steps, or you can't whatever. So
whatever.
For us, it's the movement is so much more about the portal into the spirit. It's everything is about the essence at the end of the day. It's like we are these souls in this body, which we want to love because it's our home. This is your home. I always say home, home. This is my home right now. And someday I'll leave this home and I'll just go and do the next thing. But for now, we should enjoy this body because it's all we have. I know. And if you fall off the healing journey, you get back on again by dancing or, rolling around the floor, going for a walk in the woods.
Self-compassion that we, for whatever it feel, wherever we are in that stage. But I just, as you were speaking, I just was thinking of, the perception. So like in the Renaissance, the end of the Renaissance, we all know Rubens paintings. So this is also this is very white history. But in the white history of European art, they were reflecting what was sought after, which were much more bodies that looked like mine, a lot of curves but guess who was stigmatized then? Thin women. Oh, they're unhealthy. They're not. Stigmatizing the thin women. You know what I mean? Like the pitting of beauty. Like men have been trying, white male intellectuals have been trying to tell us what is beautiful.
Yeah. And everyone else too.
And but like I just think of that. It's like women like me are like, yes, you're gonna give it to the paintings and we're gonna scorn our thin sisters, And I'm just like, fuck that
What?
shit. How about we all get in the motherfucking painting?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
We are
Thank
all
you.
in
Yeah.
the painting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Joy, do you want to add anything to this conversation from your
I
experience?
wanna add something that I think, Jade, you would appreciate, and Toni, you know about this. On my healing journey of accepting, adoring, loving my body, I remember the biggest moment is exactly what you're referring to, is flipping it. I had a dance partner at one of our teacher trainings, and she was the ideal beauty.
Oh, yes, I remember
And
now.
yes, and
It's a great story.
all of a sudden, the first feeling I had was, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna have to dance with her, and all my stuff was coming up. And then I saw her. I
Mhm.
saw her soul.
Mm,
And I felt like in that moment, it was like the worlds collided, the energies collided, and I realized what a dishonored life I had had by always projecting onto the so-called beautiful ones and not seeing them. It was like a
mhm,
disservice. It's like how they say racism is, it hurts everyone, right? And it
Mhm.
was like really calling one person beautiful and the other not. It takes
mm,
away from the essence of a human soul, and that's
Yeah.
what we're here
mm.
for. So everyone hurts. So we had this beautiful encounter. We
Oh,
danced. We were able to talk about it, and I said to her, I see you today, and I see past your beauty. And she
mm,
just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And we just had the
Mhm.
wordless interaction of souls dancing. And it has been, to this day, one of the most profound moments on my healing path of
mm,
reclaiming my body was by looking at a beautiful woman and no longer hating them, a so-called beautiful
Mhm.
woman by
mm,
the
mm,
standards that have been so ingrained in us, because I could
Mhm.
own that.
mm,
And so I just wanted to share that with you because I think that's really important. Why we're talking about reclaiming, we need to reclaim it for everybody. Get away from the
Mhm.
body.
Mhm.
mm.
Yeah,
Who are
that
we?
scarcity mentality, that the only beauty only exists right over here for
Right,
only these people. The
right.
universe is like,
Yeah.
y'all are making it
No.
so tough for yourselves.
Yes.
Guess what? I don't selectively select who's beautiful or not. You all are so amazing. Stop it. You know, it's
And yeah,
so out of
go, go.
integrity. It's so out of integrity to be like, you're beautiful. I'm not this, again, it's
Yes.
the forest thing. Our ancient wisdom doesn't understand that. So we're all like,
Mm. Oh, I like that.
Totally.
Our ancient wisdom doesn't understand that.
it
Yes,
doesn't.
that's
That's
why
the
that's why we're all so
significance.
I feel like I was thinking about this today. We're all a lot of people. I shouldn't speak for anyone but myself. I've been in a lot of pain lately, just working on some
Mm,
stuff, and there's so much pain, and it's crazy because of that, like what you were telling that story, a Joy, that about the woman you were dancing with, like she was in so much pain because of her beauty. Her beauty
Right.
caused her so much pain. I won't go into her story, but it's like it's such a the whole thing is such a conundrum because we're all, and it's just women's bodies basically in general being used as commodity. I mean, so we could go way down this rabbit hole together. I would love to have a whole like way another conversation with
Oh,
you. This
absolutely.
particular summit is about stoking the creative fire and helping people heal through creativity, which is what you do. But we could get way into the body. I mean, and I love what you're saying. I also Joy, like, I mean, I've been working with Joy for a long time, and um every dance move she does is just as beautiful to me as every dance move I do, because I'm seeing outside of myself, right? I see you both dancing. I don't see like, oh, I don't label that person how they're dancing. I'm just seeing the movement, and to me it's this liquid life happening like,
Mm.
mhm,
and it's how I feel about movement and how you feel about bodies. It's an incredible thing that you're doing. So I just want to again thank you for that,
Mm.
this ability to start looking at things creatively, which is what you're doing. You're
Yes.
saying, I'm not going to take on the patriarchal influences of my, of course we're going to work through that because it's really thick. We're going to kick that to the curb. We're going to start allowing in more new images to come in. And then by actually putting the images into the world, we are diluting
Yes.
that crap. And then eventually it'll be so, what's the word? Like, it'll be normal to see every kinds of body.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like, yeah, it'll be normal. People will look at all the bodies and be like, oh, that's like mine. That's not like mine. We're all beautiful. Like, you're so beautiful. And that's the fantasy. I mean, that would be the ideal. That's the heaven on earth, right? Where everybody matters. And we're talking about right now, we have a lot of work to do around many things, including race, women of color, size, age, all of it.
Abilities. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have,
really addressing also, like, what I love to tell folks is trauma is a tricky thing. And when we've been led to believe that we need to look a certain way to be safe,
yes,
it's so easy to look in the mirror and say, oh, that's why I feel bad, why my life sucks, why I'm in pain, da 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 da. That's what we do. We transfer all of this. Being human is hard, period. It just is, for some folks more than others, but being human is hard and magnificent and beautiful. But there's just some hard days, and it's, for so many of us, we've been conditioned to put all of that hardness, like, oh, that's the problem.
Right.
It's your boobs, it's your wrinkles, it's your rolls, it's you disgusting. And all these other voices come in, our mothers and Stacy and all these things. And so to recognize, I always tell folks, pause. Right. That's right. That's right. When I'm not feeling good and when there's a lot of trauma, I like to blame myself. I like to blame my appearance for that. And I remember that's not the case. You know, my body is not the problem. There's a lot of problems in the world, but my body's not one of them. She's doing her best. And it's just that moment, allowing ourselves that pause. And there's a second thing is, our bodies really want to be seen as magnificent. Yeah, they're fucking amazing. And she's just like, will you look at me for the incredible, like when we were little, like, look at me, asking everyone to look at us while we dance. Like, can you get enough of how amazing I am?
Yes. There you go.
No, like, that's her
so
body. She's like, look at me. Look at me. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. And when we look in the mirror, I'm like, you're the problem. She's just like this little girl, like, oh, okay. Yeah. But and in a lot of ceremonies I've done, I've asked, I'm like, how do I explain this to my sisters? And she's like, your sisters desire to remember they get to be seen as beautiful in a photo, naked in the forest, all by yourself, no one even witnessing it, but just to, like, really experience that, because that's one of the reasons we're here. And dancing, you know, is like, and it's beyond what we look like. It's just this whole compilation. It's this micro universe. It's homeostasis. It's the fact that we've survived so much trauma and horror. That all is beautiful. But it's not our body's fault when it's hard.
I love this. We'll end on that note of not beating up the body anymore. You know, my favorite part of JourneyDance, I think, one of my favorite dances is the very beginning or toward the end. I have you touch your skin and, you know, touch it, look at it, touch everything, touch your whole body, your feet all the way down, and just feel yourself. This is the home. It's like the house. You want to paint the house nice. You want to decorate the house nice. You want to put nice things in the house.
Touch her with love.
Yes. And it really does change people. And we start to look at ourselves in a beautiful way, you know, and like, how does this magical thing move and respond to the world? So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you, beautiful sisters.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What an honor.
So Jade, I don't know if you're gonna share something with the viewers, but I know you have some courses coming up. They could follow you on your Instagram. Will you share a little bit about? Are you gonna do a free gift?
Yeah, a free gift. I forgot about that.
Don't worry about it. We'll put it in.
Help me with that.
We'll edit it later.
Okay.
But so Jade's gonna share in 1 second all of her Instagrams and her website and her courses, and then we'll put the free gift in for you on this page below. So Jade, what is your Instagram?
Jade Beall Photography. Come on.
Beall has 2 L's, as you can see.
Yes, 2 L's. Be all you can be.
Jade Beall Photography.
Yes.
And I know you have a beautiful course of on healing body image. I mean, if you want to share that at this moment.
Yeah, I'm starting. My next one's going to be 6 month long. Just a very intimate group, really diving into body image for our own selves, but also to bring it into our work. You know, I really want to work with therapists and folks who want, because I've worked so hard at developing my language around body image, and I want folks to take that into their work because that's how this spreads.
Yes,
Yeah.
so wonderful. Thank you.
Beautiful.
We'll support you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for being with us. Oh my God, let's do a big mwah. Mwah. This is Toni Bergins. Enjoy Okoye. And this is the Stoke Your Creative Fire Summit. Turn your angst into art. Thank you, Jade Beall.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
What? That was
I know.
awesome.
Oh my God.
On so many levels. Wow.
I know. She's a superstar. You have to see her. You have to go and I just like stalk her Instagram page. It's so amazing.
And I love how she talks about she loves the body.
I
She
know.
doesn't, the way she talks and the way you feel it. And it's about how she sees. I love to see inside the way people think and feel. And you could really see that she loves people and for their essence.
What was your biggest takeaway for you personally?
You know, funny enough, it was at the end is when we were talking about how I think maybe you brought it up and we were talking about how this is going to be great when this is no longer a big deal. And I remember at the opening of Embrace, which was the movie that the documentary that she was a part of. And I remember the opening saying, I'm really sad that we have to watch this movie right now and that all of you are here and we are packing the house because we shouldn't have to be seeing this movie. This should be normal and natural, but we're having to make a big deal out of it. And I think
That's
that
deep.
was that we have come so far, but we have so far to go because it's still coming into the little kids and the social media and all the things.
I mean,
but we're doing it.
You're just making me think of what I think is most interesting about the one thing she said that I thought was so beautiful was how the human body changes throughout, all the time, like when you're little, when you're a teenager, puberty, childbirth, menopause, we didn't talk about every phase, but you know what I'm saying? Like the body's always changing, and to try to hold on to some image that is unattainable for most people because our body types just aren't that, it's just absurd. So, and it's painful, and we can't change the colors of our skin, and we can't change, we can change our hair color now, but we can't change like our genetic, our body type, but we just can't. We have to just love what we have and be in this moment as best we can. Of course, bodies have been used in, terrible ways. And that's, something that we're obviously everyone's working on changing, who cares about the world. And it was just so deep to me that, that the way she sees, and the way we as human beings have, beaten ourselves up so much around the body. So I'm just so excited for all of you watching this. I hope that you got something out of this interview and that you will. And then the other thing that really struck me was that she took her wound and made it her work. And that's just,
she sees, like you said, she sees and we see. So it's her creativity is actually transforming the way she sees, and then therefore the way we see as a photographer.
Yes, because the images that she's giving us are these beautiful images, and you're just like, wow, I've never seen a person of size photographed in that way so gorgeously. I mean, it's happening all around, all many, many areas, but hers are just so beautiful. And then it changes the way you think. So this is creativity, at its best. And remember to follow your passion, everybody. We're getting such great messages from every person. Follow your passion, whether you're trained at it or not trained at it. If it's part of your healing journey, then take it. Take it because you came here for a reason. She said that. She's like, I came here for a reason, and this is one of them. So I hope you enjoy this. We'll love to see you soon at the next
more to come.
Your Creative Fire video. Here we go.
Turn your angst to art, baby.
Woo!